Now that you have practiced the skill of reading closely with purpose, it's time to learn how to write an effective introduction for the rhetorical analysis essay. Since the AP exam is timed, it's imperative that you make the necessary moves as a writer quickly and precisely. Today, I'm going to teach you a specific format that you can follow to help you fully address the rhetorical situation both quickly and precisely. So exactly what is a rhetorical précis? A rhetorical précis differs from a summary in that it is a less neutral, more analytical condensation of both the content and the method of the original text. If you think of a summary as primarily a brief representation of what a text says, then you might think of a rhetorical précis as a brief representation of what a text both says and does. Essentially, then, a précis is a brief summary and analysis of the rhetorical situation, which is exactly what the AP gods want to see you do. The précis is a highly structured 4-sentence paragraph that records the essential elements of a unit of spoken or written discourse. Each of the 4 sentences requires specific information. The first sentence of a précis states the main argument of the text. The second sentence explains how the author develops the main claims. The third sentence states the author's purpose. The fourth sentence explains the tone that the author takes with the intended audience. For the first sentence, you should name the author, the title of the work, and the date in parentheses. Then you should use a rhetorically accurate verb such as asserts, argues, refutes, proves, or explains, followed by a clause that contains the major claim of the work. In this first sentence, you are articulating the overall argument of the text succinctly. You are stating what the author argues. In the second sentence of the précis, you are explaining how the writer develops and supports the major claim. This will become the thesis statement of the essay and is therefore the most important to get right. Remember the brief notes that you took in each chunk of the text while annotating? This is where you will use them to precisely identify the rhetorical choices that the author made in the text. In this sentence, you are addressing how the author makes the overall argument. The third sentence of a précis identifies the author's purpose in writing the text. To do this, give a statement of the author's purpose followed by an in order to phrase. In this sentence, you are explaining why an author wrote a text. The fourth sentence of a précis gives a description of the intended audience and the relationship that the author establishes with them. Most often, the author is establishing a specific relationship with the audience by developing a particular tone throughout the text. In this sentence, you are identifying who this piece was written for. Now that I have gone over the format with you, it's time to look at an example. I'm going to continue to use President Bush's address to the nation on 9/11 since you're familiar with the text. I wrote, in his address to the nation on September 11, 2001, President George W. Bush asserts that although the nation has been attacked by terrorists, the United States will persevere through this tragedy. He acknowledges the communal grief of the nation while also reminding us of our resilience to reassure the nation that justice will be served. His purpose is to unite Americans in order to convert our grief into national action taken against the perpetrators of this terrorist act. Bush establishes a reassuring tone with American citizens who are left in shock after the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. Remember that I said the second sentence of the précis is the most important because it is the thesis of the essay. So let's take a closer look at it. Notice that I simply crafted a sentence that uses the brief notes that I took while closely reading the text. The underlined phrases are the same phrases that I wrote on the side of the text. This is why I said that once you determine what the author is doing in each chunk, the thesis all but writes itself.